getting closer and closer to the start of the NBA season. Some new rule changes coming down the line that we'll talk about. And of course, a pretty big extension happening in the NBA right after we dropped an episode last week. So that's really convenient. And we appreciate that.
Love when the podcast gods are kind to us like that. Isn't that funny? And of course, it's not even like this time around. It's like, oh, it's news that whatever, somebody signed a big, massive contract, but we didn't really talk about their team. It's like, no, we spent our entire main segment talking about the Nuggets, and then Jamal Murray signs the max contract. But, we'll get into that too a little bit. I do want to say before we get too far into it, great background today, Justin. That studio looks great.
Thanks. I wish it wasn't so grainy. I'm a little upset with the camera shot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm upset with it, but it is what it is. We will just accept it for what it is.
It looks fine on this end. So, I mean, you might be nitpicking here a little bit.
It's the podcast studio I'm working on at work. So a little background lighting is on at the moment, which helps, pull me out from the wall. Stupid content creator speak, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I feel like you got to have like some smooth jazz on in the background or something, like get lo-fi chick going, something like real mellow.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any of that. No. I was gonna see if they had any of that on the little reacts button that we've got down here. By the way, I think we've talked about it before, but we do have like a whole thing like.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. There has to be a moment. There's going to be when it pops up, it's going to be organic when I'm going to remember we can do that. One of us is going to say something or vice versa. Like you're going to do the same for me. And it's going to be hysterical. And I can't wait for whenever that happens.
Yeah. So we do have a few react options. We don't necessarily need them for this, but the rule change that is coming down the line, they announced this on Tuesday of the week that we are recording this, so take that with a grain of salt that if you want. The challenge rules are changing. Under the new rule, if instant replay of an out-of-bounds violation is triggered by a coach's challenge, the on-the-court officials and replay center will be able to review the video to determine whether a foul proximate to the violation should have also been called. Huh?
No, it makes sense. It's not as complicated as it sounds. It's just like, look, if there's an out of bounds play, the coaches call for a challenge. The refs can go back and review it. And during the process of the review, if there was a foul, there was a play last year, and it's in the ESPN article about it. That is a quicker read up if somebody wants to look at that. But it would have affected in Dallas to Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals. There was a play where like Jaden McDaniels was fouled and Kyrie was able to get the ball, and Dallas ended up getting the ball on the out of bounds play. It didn't end up making a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. But look, I'm all about more transparency with the refs here. Like if there's a mistake, let's get it right.
Well, I guess in the past, the challenge could be just determine whose ball it's supposed to be and not necessarily if there's a foul, like you were alluding to.
Yeah.
I did see a stat saying that last year, 59.2% of all coaches' challenges were successful. I don't know whether I'm like, wow, that's a decent amount, or if I'm like, that's not high enough.
Oh, no. I mean,
I land on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm fine with it. I don't think it's going to work every time. Like, there are those 50-50 plays. Sometimes you do it for the tempo of the game. Like, if you just have a star that's frustrated, you just go for the challenge, even if you know it's not there. The biggest reason I'm fine with the change is that I'm not worried about it slowing down the game with then suddenly every play being reviewed for a foul, because there's still a limited number of coaches challenge. Yep. Like, they're not just going to be able to do this after every single play. And I think, look, with things like the 2-minute report, we've subjected refs to increased scrutiny. So if there's a scenario where they can go back and get it right, let them get it right. Like, I don't think refs are actively trying to do their job incorrectly. And I think it looks ridiculous because there are other plays that I can think of just even in the regular season where when it's a clear, blatant foul,
call it.
It does look ridiculous when then we're fighting over who gets the ball, and it just allows for a little bit of transparency. I think it's good for everybody.
So some of the other factors that are going to be considered in determining the foul call for this out of bounds violation are whether the players are involved in the uncalled foul are the same players or different players than the ones involved with the out of bounds violation that's under review, the distance between the uncalled foul and the out of bounds violation that's under review, and the time elapsed between the uncalled foul and the out of bounds violation under review. Those are the three things that if we run into a situation like this, the replay center, the on-court officials will be having a conversation about.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, like I said, it's not going to slow down the game. That would be that's always one of my biggest concerns with rules is like, look, the NBA and just basketball in general, like it already at the end of games turns into a free throw shooting contest sometimes. And it really slows down with reviews on everything. Like, I don't think we want to potentially drag that out even more. I just don't think that's going to happen here. Like I mentioned it a little earlier, but that just having that with safety net of there only being a limited number of coaches transactions or coaches challenge, not transactions, but that just prevents it from getting out of hand.
I agree. I guess my point is like we think back to next year or last year, and really was there just like one instance with this? Like, why was there such a drive to make this change?
Because I think it's happened a few times. Like, I don't think we've had that memorable, sometimes unfortunately in sports, rule changes come when there's just horrific calls.
Right.
I don't think we've had anything severely altered. And I think this is a way of trying to prevent that almost. It's like addressing a problem before it just gets worse. Like we implemented the challenge. There are just some obvious fouls that get missed. Sometimes when players go in the lane, it's pretty easy to miss it. It's like, why not give them the opportunity to get it right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm fine with getting it right. I'm just like, if it's going to be 3 times next season that this is going to be used, it's like, okay, fine. But also, like, are we making a whole thing out of nothing,
Yeah, I mean, like if this didn't happen, I don't think it'd be the end of the world either. Like the NBA has been pretty functional.
But it's not like I guess like, on NBA Reddit, I don't see people being like, this was needed.
But I also, to that same token, I don't hear people going, "Oh man, this is really going to ruin the game. Can't watch this anymore." What what an unserious product.
Yeah, no, I agree. So,
but you never want to. I'm a big proponent, as you know, of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I hear you. I'm always inclined not to change it either, but we're rearranging deck chairs a little bit here. I don't think it's anything too crazy. Welcome everybody to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rafuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Cousart.
I didn't hit one parlay today. Football is back.
Football is back. Week 2 about to be in swing. Really fun week 1. I don't think the NFL could have asked for better national television games to start the season, like back-to-back bangers on Thursday and Friday night. I promise I'm not just saying that because the Eagles won last week in Brazil. I feel like I'm cheating a little bit. I did actually see this tweet. One of my buddies sent it to me. It's Josh Hart, right?
Yeah, it's Josh Hart.
The other part of me was like, wait a minute, Josh Hart's allowed to bet on other sports? I
guess you are allowed to bet on other sports, but I thought the same thing. I was kind of like, ooh, maybe.
I was like, don't get suspended. Like, but it makes
careful.
I don't think there should be a ban on other athletes betting on other sports. Like,
no, I'm fine with that too.
Betting on basketball, completely different story. Jonte Porter, get him out of here.
But also, like, I don't know, just having the app on your phone, knowing you're placing it on football is definitely a little like, hey, maybe that app needs to be deleted when the season starts so there's no confusion on anybody's end.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Jonte got a lifetime ban and maybe more, honestly. I mean, he pleaded to the RICO charges. So, yeah, we've had, you know my thoughts on gambling. We've had thoughts in general in the past. And again, I'm by no means anti-gambling at all. But, yeah, we don't need the players anywhere remotely near it. And the second the integrity of the game, I think, starts to get questioned, it gets a little hairy. It's also a little weird when ESPN's telling me to bet on parlay lines in the middle of the commentary as well now.
Yeah. I'm a little less aggressive with that stance. I love the idea of players being able to bet on their overs. Like, I love that, but I also understand why they can't do that.
Yeah,
But I
it
love the
gets
idea of
slippery.
LeBron being like, Westbrook being like, no way, LeBron drops 30 on me. And LeBron's like, cool, I just put 50 G's on 32 over. It's
Yeah,
happening.
it's the trash talk element, right? Where it's like, yo, I'm gonna
Yeah.
cook you tonight and make money on it, but also like, yeah, I don't need players betting on themselves like that. Like they already kind of do when
But
they make certain contract decisions.
think about like what I know, but think about end of game situations where like someone's just clamped them and they're like 5-10 points off. Yo,
I
that's
hear
so
you, but
tense.
they can do that without betting on it. That's the point. Like, I don't need them betting on it. It should be that intense anyway. It's the NBA.
I
Compete.
know.
Y'all are competitors.
I know.
Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. We'll read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Player FM, anywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. Just search Drive and Dish NBA podcast on YouTube. Up to 73 subscribers now. So feel free to join the fam and watch the videos as we post them. Obviously, video version of like Immaculate Grid, which we'll do at the end of the episode. And we do at most end of the episodes. You can watch the video element of that as well.
Yeah, give Justin props on his new studio too. Seriously, give the blue lights and everything. They look wonderful. And now a word from our sponsors.
I would say the studio is like 82% there. We're not fully there yet, but it is what it is. So let's
82% is a lot closer to done than not done. I mean, some would say that's a B grade. I'm not encouraging you to settle for B grades. I want you to strive higher, but at least, you're not at like 30% or something.
I'm just frustrated because I had a interview for a podcast that I do for work with a CEO of a big company here, and it was all centered around mental health. It was a great conversation. The audio was fine, so podcast wise, it's still there. Video wise, was an absolute disaster, and from recording and the look of the video, we're almost there. We're not there. It's fine. Kind of like the Denver Nuggets. They're just fine.
Jay just won a title 2 years ago. They're a little better than just fine. I don't know if we're selling them quite that short yet. I know last week there was a little bit of, we were talking last week about Mike Malone kind of putting pressure on it a little bit and making sure the Nuggets in the front office are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
I think signing Jamal Murray to a 4-year, $208 million max contract extension and putting any remote smoke out there, especially after what was certainly an Olympics to forget for Jamal Murray, and kind of putting out the questions of like, hey, we're still going for this while we have prime Jokic, right? Like signing Jamal Murray to a max extension is a real quick way to say, hey, no, we're absolutely still going for it. Relax. Like everything is fine.
So I guess we should start with the actual contract. 4-year, $208 million maximum contract extension. Like you said, it puts the potential what are they doing question marks to rest. I guess I'm not necessarily surprised they did it. Run it back. I feel like we said a lot of this in the last episode is just like as long as the front office isn't going through whatever they thought they were going through, not seeing eye to eye, if that's to bed, then yeah, run it back next year. Let's try it again. But I don't know. Like, did anything last year in terms of performance worry you?
Not necessarily, because I thought he was really good at the end of games. Like, it's hard for me. I go back and forth, right? Because on one hand, there's a pretty firm part of me that believes if Denver had played anybody other than Minnesota, that they're probably in the finals at a bare minimum. Because I maintain that they would have wiped the floor with Dallas. I think Minnesota was just the absolute worst matchup that you could throw at Denver, I should say. I don't think they would have beat Boston necessarily. Like it would have been a close series. Like Boston was really good as well. Porzingis was back healthy, but I think it would have been closer probably than the series was with Dallas. Like there was never a doubt in my mind that Boston was going to beat Dallas. There might have been a sliver of doubt in my mind that they were going to beat Denver. That's the positive approach to take, I think, if you're Denver. The negative approach is that, yeah, we lost in the second round of Minnesota in a really competitive game 7 in a series that we were down 0-2, came all the way back to be up 3-2, but then couldn't close the door. There are moments where Michael Porter Jr. didn't look like a max player. There are, this year in particular, a notable major departure with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope out the door to Orlando, somebody who's played massive minutes for them, especially in crunch time. But still, like, the duo of Murray and Jokic has been wildly effective. And yeah, you can point and say, hey, he struggled at the Olympics, maybe in a vacuum. How good is he on his own? But I also don't really think that matters because he's playing well with Jokic. And if they can play well off each other, I don't really think it matters as much. Like, it's kind of, and know what the discussion around Jamal Murray reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me of Chris Middleton in Milwaukee with Giannis, where it's like they won a title together. There are valid questions of how good are they on their own, but you still have to do it. Like, you have to do the steal of your Denver and run it back and make everybody happy. You don't want him because their title window in the West is probably closed if Jamal Murray goes. Like, that would be extremely bold to shake it up. I don't think the equivalent is probably there return-wise. But look, they are staring down the barrel of the second apron now. If Aaron Gordon gets extended, which it seems like if they're going to contend, that can happen as well. You know, they could also, like, it depends how aggressive, like, ownership in the front office is going to have to prove their mettle here too. Like, that's the question. Because you could very well, like, if you don't want to go into that second apron, you're going to probably lose Aaron Gordon. That's a big shakeup for that team that's trying to contend right now. But also, like, again, this is my thing with owners. It's like, yeah, you go into the second apron when you've got a realistic shot at winning a title. Like, this team is giving you the benefit of the doubt because they won.
Well, so here's a few thoughts. Back to the Chris Middleton talk, because I just looked it up. His salary for 24-25 season is going to be $31.7 million. There is $65.7 million over the next 2 years, including a player option. He has played only 33 games 2 seasons ago and 55 last season. Obviously, health concerns are there, which we'll see. You know, I don't necessarily say that's going to happen with Murray, but I'm just saying, like, that part of that contract also isn't looking too hot right now. In terms of Murray and teams that had the potential cap space for him next off season, this report is saying really was only the Brooklyn Nets. Other teams could have tried to make it work, but at least just on the books, it was just the Nets. So in terms of Murray being actively engaged in making it happen again with Denver, especially if you want to contend, makes a lot of sense. Now, to your point, Aaron Gordon, it is a chance that this season will be the last one in Denver unless they get an extension going. And to your point, the money's got to work out there and you got to see wherever it was. His extension is eligible for anybody that wanted to watch dates. September 27th is when Denver could make that happen.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest question now. If I'm Denver, it really is all eyes on Aaron Gordon. Like, you lock this up now, it's probably an overpay a little bit, to be honest, but I think it's one, again, that you have to do if you're the Nuggets, so I'm not knocking them for making that overpay. You got to keep the window open. Like, this is a team that has justified that faith, and I think, like, again, to me, I want to see them bring back Aaron Gordon. Like, I want them to go in on this team.
So here's the other thing that's interesting. If you look ahead, this is just, again, an article kind of looking at potential 2025 free agency. Gordon and Miles Turner could be two of the top free agents in terms of teams that would be like changing what the team looks like. And from Aaron Gordon's side of thing, to capitalize towards the back end of his career, not saying he's ended, but if he's going to try to get another contract, a team could offer somewhere around 35 to 40 mil per year. And if the Nuggets aren't willing to do that, like, it might just be what it is. That seems, from a player side of things, a little juicy, and it's like, maybe I do kinda wanna dip my toe in that.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Gordon is going to get paid one way or the other, like you said, whether it's a team who throws the money out. And yeah, look, they may have to force Denver to match that money to keep him, but Aaron Gordon will get his no matter what. And I think for AG, he was a part of that Denver winning title team.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe there is less pressure. You're right. He's 29 years old. Like, he want to get one last major bag, and so you can't really knock him there. Good career earnings, but he's probably getting one more strong 3 to 4 year deal, and that's about it.
They have
Uh,
him projected, the projected right here, this graphic on Twitter is 4 years, 140 million, which would be about 35 mil a year. To show that against some other projections would be Pascal Siakam's got 4 years, 188.9 million. So that's looking like 47.2 ish on the lower end. They have Draymond Green at 4 years, 100 million. So like 25 mil a year.
yeah, I mean, look, he's making about 22 right now, so
Hmm. Hmm.
the boost is going to be there for sure. You know, Aaron Gordon is one of those players where it's kind of based around athleticism a little bit.
Yep.
So maybe there's a worry there, but he hasn't really had a major injury history. Like, I think you'd argue, if anything, Murray's had one. I mean, Jamal Murray basically sat out 2 seasons, but um, I don't know. I hope they do it. Like, I hope they max the window for this team. Like, again, it's hard to recreate a dynasty, and like, I think that's the thing. We've always wondered, because we had it with the Warriors for so long, where who's going to be the next team. But we said for this really since last season, like, the parity for the NBA is at an all-time high. But if you got a
I
shot, go for it, because I think we're seeing that more and more with NBA teams. It's been that way in the NFL for a while, where it's like, look, if the window is open, you go. Like, it just may not be there next year. I think we're starting to see that mentality in the NBA a little bit more as well.
I don't know what it is about the Nuggets, the way they are right now with this roster. I just don't feel like they get it done again, and I really don't know why. It
You need
bothers me, but I don't know why.
Oh, it's young guys. You need young guys to step up. Like, there has to be a lot of their guys via trades, via just getting priced out,
Sure.
aren't there anymore. It's KCP this year is the biggest test. Like, that will be, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, losing those guys is big. They were a big part of that title run. Losing Reggie Jackson as well. KCP's different. Like, he's still a big rotation player. There's a reason I'm so high on him going to Orlando. It's a little tough, like with Deron Holmes already being out for the season. That's brutal. Their first round pick this year.
Mhm.
They need guys like Christian Bruin to continue to step up. Dario Saric they brought in. You hope he can give you some minutes. Really, the big one for me, though, is this is all about Michael Porter Jr. Like, I need Michael Porter Jr. to be the guy. Like, you need him to be the real third option. It was kind of inconsistent at times, especially on the offensive end last year. I need him to be there. To a lesser extent, like I said, I mentioned Brown too, but lesser extent with him, like, I'd love to see him be more than an energy guy off the bench.
Sure, sure.
But it's really about MPJ. Like, even with Murray, I'm just less worried about it. Like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, where MPJ had moments last year where they need him to be a better offensive player. They need him to dominate the minutes when Jokic is off the floor.
I hope, for continuity's sake of the podcast, when we get to Grid, the Nuggets are on there. I feel like that
Oh,
would be
yeah.
a good fitting, really
I
fitting
feel
for us.
I feel like they'll find a way to sneak on.
I feel like
I feel like
I
they've done
I
a
would
lot of Denver recently
I
on
feel
Grid.
like grid-wise, I feel like I haven't done a lot of Denver. I feel like I haven't done a lot of Spurs, and I feel like I never get Mavericks, so
Um, yeah, we need, like, there's a few teams that I would really love to have it. Like, if I could make a custom grid for us to do just off sheer difficulty, I'd want
yeah.
like Charlotte.
What if we could do that, like grid challenges? You create one, you send them to each other. Like, you can send them to somebody. You build it
Yeah,
out, and then it's like, how many can I get off the grid you gave me? How many you can you get off the grid I gave you? And then, like, whoever scores better. That sounds like an app. That needs to be an app right there. I want 1% royalties, and go ahead and go for it. I'm not going
I
to
think
stop
that
you.
I think the people at Basketball Reference may have you beat a little bit there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too much harder to do a custom one at that point.
Oh, you would think they would have it by now. I'm just saying.
There's a way with the categories, I'm sure, where you could make it really difficult if you were to find a way where only like limited number of players qualify.
Yeah.
And where you have to like be really strategic about where you use them. Like
I would love to do like one is like the categories are way more specific. Like Lakers assists, but assists are between 3,000 for the career and 4,000 for the career. Like,
yeah, that
like
really would
very niche. You got it. You can't go too high. You can't go too low. It's going to be like 4 people.
Yeah, it would be expert level of difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be very, very challenging. I agree. That would truly be a different breed of Immaculate Grid. Of course, stay tuned for that coming later in the podcast. In the meantime, who's ballin', who's fallen? Our NBA version of the stock market, we always like to start with the good before the bad. You just mentioned them a second ago, the Mavericks, and that is the focal point of my ballin' this week. It's not actually Dallas. It's Markieff Morris, though, who's going back to Dallas.
Good for him.
We talk about it all the time, but it still kind of blew my mind when the numbers were in front of me. Markieff Morris has been in the NBA for 13 years now at this point.
Both brothers have, or just him? He came out first?
No, they were both. They were the same year.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
I just like, man, I didn't think it was 13. Like, definitely around a decade for sure. But 13 getting there is kind of crazy. Markieff Morris doesn't play a ton at this point, but they love him in the locker room. Only 26 games last year. 2.5 points, 8.3 minutes. 776 career games. Won the title, of course, with the Lakers. Pretty good Immaculate Grid darling, honestly, when all is said and done.
My ballin', I actually just because I have Basketball Real GM up right now, I just saw the most recent article they put up is the Warriors have interest in Jimmy Butler, and I was trying to make a joke off it, but whatever. You can have interest in anybody you want, but can you actually get it done? Is I guess my first response to that. Either way, the ballin' for me is the Los Angeles Lakers going to honor Jerry West with number 44 with number 4 on the jersey. 44, gosh, I can do it right on their jerseys this season. It's going to be on the left shoulder of their jersey throughout the season. Obviously, West, a big part of Lakers history.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most iconic players, not just in Lakers, but in the league as well. The logo.
Yes. And he passed away, for anybody that doesn't know, passed away in June.
Yeah, if you've been in a different dimension for some reason for the past like 3 or 4 months, Jerry West did pass away. Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer, obviously. Like, his jersey's been long retired.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to rank the Lakers greats. Like, the Lakers are one of those teams where your top 5 could be a lot of different ways. Jerry West is certainly on it, though. And when your franchise has names like Kareem and Wilt and Magic Johnson and Kobe and Shaq and all those other Lakers greats, like, it's certainly not bad company to be in all. And I'm sure they'll do a good job with the patch. Kind of Lakers related for Fallin for me this week. It's Christian Wood undergoing another arthroscopic surgical procedure. He's going to be reevaluated by team doctors in 8 weeks. He tweeted, quote, "Damn, I was just feeling like my old self again and was in peak shape. Minor setback for a major comeback. And to my fans, don't stop believing in me. Prayers hand emoji." Christian Wood, he's with the Lakers. He picked up a $3 million option.
Yeah, that's a bummer. You know, hopefully he can. He can. I mean, this is like, you know. I mean, like, what he's, yeah, it's a bummer. That's just the best way to put it. You know, you don't want anybody to be injured.
It goes into a good wild card. Sorry, Christian. That's really a bummer, man. Oh my goodness.
Seriously, though,
another guy who's aged though, because he's been on so many teams and has like been on so many G League teams and stuff like that. He was super young when he came in the league. I feel like people have been asking whether he was good or not for so long. Christian Wood is 28 years old right now.
Yeah.
So that is kind of crazy, but it's tough. Like, it's tough timing. Like, he's a guy who is fighting for his life in the league right now. Like, every contract for him is potentially last one currently. So hopefully he can get himself back in shape.
He was supposed to be like the big deal when he went to Houston, I think with Harden, right? Was that
he's had so many different, because he played really well in Detroit, and it was one of those like his advanced numbers are great, but is he actually good, or is he just racking up counting stats? Because he never made the playoffs for the longest time. Like even in Dallas, he had never made the playoffs, and they finally did. I don't know. It is one of those things where like I feel like the potential and the thought of Christian Wood is definitely outweighed who he actually is player wise. But again, he's on a $3 million minimum contract right now. Like it's not like he's exactly out here stealing money from some franchise either.
Yeah. No, I agree. Worth mentioning, I just saw this too. Miami Heat are going to have a statue for D Wade unveiled October 27th. So that's exciting. Put it in your calendar. You can fly down, Kevin.
Okay, sick. All right. We'll do. Amber's going to love that. Amber, why are we going to Miami? Dwayne Wade statue night.
The C.D. Wade statue. Although I'm sure that's a fun game. I wonder who they're playing that night. Either way, I'll look it up in a second. My Fallin is either going to all the players that he's hating on, or it's going to Rick Barry for being a hater. I don't know if you saw this in a video.
Rick Barry's a notorious hater.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All-time great, notorious hater.
Yeah, he said, stop the traveling, stop the ball carrying. The athletes today are incredible. What they do is incredible, but they're getting away with murder, and I blame the officials.
I mean, they are, in some senses, getting away with murder. But, I mean, yeah, this is old man yells at cloud, right? Like, that's the meme. Insert the comment. I do wonder why nobody else shoots like Rick Barry. Like, I know there's that whole, like, don't shoot your free throw granny style. Like, I know there's the stigma around that. But, like, that was such a, we always had that debate back when like Andre Drummond was almost putting himself out of the league because he couldn't shoot free throws.
Yeah.
And it went like, when it's that bad, it can't be worse, right?
No, I guess not.
I guess he had a Hall of Fame career. He's shooting his free throws granny style.
And I mean, listen, if it works, it works. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's just kind of my thing. Is like it's always a weird stigma to me.
Yeah, I guess because it doesn't look like the normal shooting form, but still, like I'm with you. If the percentages are there, then don't ask questions. You know.
Yeah, and it's not exactly like I'm saying, go out and play games like that. It's free throws.
I agree. In case you were wondering, October 27th, the Miami Heat do not have a game. They actually play Charlotte the night before and the Pistons after, so they want to win.
They really schedule that well to make a celebration. Hey, that's some great A work by the Miami Heat right there.
Yep. So good for them. I'm sure that'll be a whole news thing when it's going on, obviously.
Oh, of course. And we'll be covering it here on the podcast. But in the meantime, should we jump into some Immaculate Grid? Full disclosure, if you can't tell, this is gonna be a shorter episode this week. Like, we're just like in the dog days of summer right now. I don't know what to tell you. I wish there was more content, but I don't really want to start previewing the season just yet. So
do we remember what 3 teams or 4 teams I said earlier? Nuggets, Mavs, and I think I said Spurs, right?
I think so, which I feel like we do a lot of Spurs. So I don't know if I'm with you there.
Well, either way, they're literally all on this grid.
Good. How about that? Look at
literally every single one of them is on this grid. Yeah, every single one is on the grid.
Truly. And for the podcast listeners, again, you can watch the Immaculate Grids on YouTube. Should it be on this side?
Should it be here?
You tell me.
I don't know.
Probably that. No, probably the other one. They should see the grid more than us.
Okay.
And audio, it doesn't matter, obviously. So our columns this week from left to right are the Timberwolves, the Mavericks, and 5,000 career assists. Our rows from top to bottom, the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Nuggets. So, Justin, since you got your psychic hat on today, what are you thinking for the first one?
Patrick Beverley works for Lakers, Timberwolves.
He does work for Lakers and Timberwolves. The most obvious one there is probably D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, yeah, D'Angelo Russell. Yep, I even forgot about him.
D'Lo works. Pat Bev works.
I feel like Lance Stevenson. No, he was Lakers.
I don't remember if he played for Minnesota. He definitely played for the Lakers.
I feel like he was. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean,
I don't know. Did he play for the Wolves?
I don't know. If he did, it wasn't a lot. But Bev is definitely probably the point I'm leaning to.
I'm trying to think. I know he
Uh,
played for the combo won't work just because I don't think it works for a bunch of. I need to slow down. What I'm trying to say is I wonder if Nick Van Exel works for. He'll definitely work for Lakers and Dallas. He played for the Nuggets,
I
and
don't even know who that is.
oh come on, 90s point guard, man! He's in Crazy in Love, handle like Van Exel.
Wesley Johnson works Timberwolves Lakers.
Oh, that's a good one. Honestly,
I
that's
think
the best one I've heard so far.
I think Wayne Ellington works too.
Wayne Ellington does work. I think that's another good one. I
Those
think
are
Wayne Ellington
throwbacks.
would do
Throwbacks
really
to
well.
Corey Brewer.
Corey Brewer. I'm not 100% play for the Lakers, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I'm pretty sure
Definitely play for the
Brewer was
Wolves.
there. I'm pretty sure Brewer was there like not too long ago.
Yeah. Man, who else do we have? Did Ellington play for the Nuggets too? I don't think. I feel like he may have played for the Mavs. I like Ellington in the top corner though, or Wesley Johnson. Like I don't know where else Wesley Johnson works, but like Wayne Ellington is definitely a great like role player.
Ellin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne. 0.6.
Nice. All right.
Baby.
Great
Let's
start.
go.
Great start.
All right.
Okay. Well, I mentioned if we're going across for Lakers Mavs, I do think our boy Nick Van Exel works there. Your new boy, Nick Van Exel, by the way. He is now your boy.
Christian Wood, I'm pretty sure actually works there. We talked about
Christian Wood does work there. 100% works there.
Yeah.
Rondo works there. Man, Dallas and Lakers. I feel like there's a few.
Didn't
Steve Nash
no.
works there. That's probably one of the chalkier ones.
Rondo, right?
Yeah, I said Rondo.
Works.
Yeah,
you said Rondo. Okay.
DeAndre Jordan played for the Lakers, right?
Yes, I was thinking JaVale McGee. He definitely works.
He does. JaVale McGee works for Nuggets, Mavs.
He works for a few, I think. Yeah, DeAndre Jordan, I think him.
DeAndre Jordan works for Nuggets, Mavs as well.
Okay, hold on. Isaiah Thomas. Didn't he go to the Mavericks?
Oh, man, I mean, he ended up playing for so many teams.
I think he was on the Mavericks, and I know he played for the Lakers at one point.
He did play for the Lakers for sure.
I remember the Lakers.
He might have, he might have.
We might have to hold on to that because I don't feel confident about it. We obviously have other people that work.
All right, well, can we do Nick Van Exel for Lakers and 5,000 career assists? Because I'm pretty confident about it.
Sure.
All aside, it's Nick
Van. There you go. He was like the first one that popped up. That was crazy.
2%. Okay. Wow, it's actually higher than I thought it would be.
Okay, Nick Van Exel.
Man, I got spoiled.
Oh, you know who else works for Lakers, Mavs? Wes Matthews.
Yeah, Wes Matthews does work. That's not a bad one, maybe.
Wes Matthews.
I think Wes Matthews is lower than Rondo. I think,
but the problem is, does Isaiah Thomas work?
Isaiah Thomas, I'm leaning to think that he does work. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure he does. He definitely played for the Lakers. You're 100% about that.
I know that. Yeah. I know that. I'm just not positive about the other part of it. Okay, so I also am pretty sure. Did he go to the Spurs? Who? I only know him because Tim always talked about Tolliver. Anthony Tolliver.
Oh, Anthony Tolliver. Oh my goodness.
I know he played on the Timberwolves, and I think he went to the Spurs, but I'm not confident.
He might have. Anthony Tolliver is one of those players that I think you legitimately could tell me played for like 50 different teams. Yeah, and I believe you.
Or he did play maybe too.
He played for the Sixers.
Wait, Tolliver played for the Sixers?
Yeah, at the very end of his career.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Kyle Anderson is the obvious answer for that. Timberwolves, Spurs.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson, I think, will be high.
Mm-hmm. It's the most
I
recent, I
like
think.
Tolliver more than Tolliver's good, dude. I think you don't even need to overthink it. I'm pretty sure he works Spurs well. He's 100% a Wolf.
Oh
And
yeah, no, I'm definite about the Wolves. It's the Spurs side of it that I'm like fairly confident because I feel like when no, maybe I don't know. I feel like when we talked about him, we talked about Spurs times with Tolliver, but
yeah, I kind of do too. And that's why I'm like weirdly confident about it.
what is it? TOLL?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. 2%. It worked.
Wow,
Okay.
that was 2%. Holy crap, dude.
There we go.
Good for the Immaculate Grid guessers, man.
5,000
Um
assists, Ginobili, Parker,
Parker's the obvious
Kawhi.
one. Yeah, Kawhi is interesting. Damn. Yeah, the injuries make it so tough. Before we get too far, Anthony Tolliver, by the way, ready for this? He did
Yeah.
play for the Spurs. He actually only played for the Spurs his rookie year in 08,
Oh
09 for
wow. So I had it
19 games.
wrong.
So that was
I had
way
it wrong. I
closer
had
than we
it
expected.
so wrong that I was right.
But
Okay.
Spurs, Trailblazers, Warriors, Timberwolves, Hawks, Bobcats, Suns, Pistons, Kings, Timberwolves again, Blazers again, Memphis, Sixers.
Like
A lot of
everyone.
different places. Yeah,
Everyone at
it
that
was
point.
crazy.
Damn.
Okay. Timberwolves and Nuggets. I feel like there's a really like obvious one that I just completely blanked out of my mind.
Who are
It's
you talking?
not.
You're talking. Wait, hold on. You're talking Dallas Nuggets?
No, Timberwolves Nuggets.
Oh, Timberwolves Nuggets.
No, Dallas Nuggets. We've got DeAndre Jordan and McGee. If worse comes to worse, they both work.
Timberwolves Nuggets.
I don't.
Oh, Mike Miller.
Mike Miller. Did Mike Miller play for the Nuggets?
Yeah, I know he played for the Nuggets because of Immaculate Grid.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that works then. He definitely
I
played for the
know
Wolves.
I know he played because I've used it in the past.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
whatever the reason is, 3%. Okay, not bad. Yeah, I genuinely, dude, I did not know that. Yeah, wow, right at the end of his career. You're right. 2
Yep.
seasons with Denver,
Yeah.
2015 and 2016. 47 games, 20 games.
Allen
Yeah,
Iverson for 5,000 assists probably
he
would be an
does
interesting
work for
move.
Denver. Yeah, Iverson works.
Wait, do we
Chauncey
remember?
Billups
Do we
works.
remember? Okay, so it would have been last episode. We talked about somebody that was right at 5,000 assists.
It wasn't Joe Johnson.
Was it Joe Johnson? Okay.
Or maybe
Then
Joe Johnson's right at 20,000.
there's someone that's close, and I, for whatever reason, in my head, thought maybe it would work for the Spurs, but I think it's because I just always want Diaw to work, and I don't think that's gonna work there.
No, I feel like it was Joe because Joe is like literally at 5,001. It's awesome.
Yo, no, it's literally it's 5,001 assists. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think he works for either of these teams.
No,
Like he
doesn't.
bounced around late, but I don't think he was in
No, I think you're right.
San Antonio or Denver. Yeah, I mean you're right for Denver with Iverson. Billups is the other one. I don't think like I'm trying to think who else they play point guards and like
Carmelo, 5,000
I don't know if
assists?
Melo had 5K. That's the thing. Like you would think he would just by playing in the league for as long as he did, but like Melo is not a facilitator by
No.
any means.
Iggy,
No, Mike, and he works in a lot of places. Andre Miller probably has 5,000 assists. And I think he works for the Spurs too, honestly. Like, I think he played for the Spurs at the end of his career. He definitely played for the Nuggets for sure, because that's who we got in the Iverson trade. I think he'd be low in either one of those places. Probably lower for the Spurs than the Nuggets is my guess, but I think either way.
so you want to go? You want to do him here? Is that what you were saying?
I think for Spurs, 5K assists is where you do Andre Miller.
You want to do Miller?
Yeah.
Andre Miller, boom. Yeah,
2%. Nice. I think he'll be lower for the Spurs than he will for the Nuggets. Like he played a few seasons in Denver.
Yeah.
The guy who I'm like wondering for Denver is like Alex English, but again, he's a forward. Like he's a Hall of Famer for them, but he's like right on the cusp. Man, I'm trying to think of like any guards went there late.
For Denver?
Yeah, because none of their guys right now are just there yet. Like Jamal Murray's not at 5K yet.
You know who works for Spurs Mavs?
Who?
Boban.
Yeah, he does. And that's
Boban.
probably better. The most obvious one for me there is Michael Finley.
Yep.
Finley was on one of the Spurs title teams, I believe, but he was famous in Dallas. I mean, he was with it was him and Dirk and Steve Nash were their big three there for a little bit.
Richard Jefferson too works there, doesn't he?
He works for I think he played in Dallas. He played in Denver too.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure RJ works in two of those. Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do then? You want to go Boban? I feel like Boban's a popular pick just because he's on TV a lot, but
yeah, Boban's probably lower though.
Yeah.
I think Boban's lower there, and we can use RJ for Dallas, and because I think RJ will be lower than DeAndre Jordan and JaVale McGee will be.
10% still kind of a lot.
Yeah, Toby and Bobby.
Toby and Bobby, baby.
All right, and so you want to use RJ for Nuggets and Mavericks?
Yeah.
I can't really think of anybody better off top right now. I'm sure somebody obvious will come to mind.
There you go. But... Four. All right. So Lakers, Mavs. Oh, we have the two guys we talked to, Morris and Wood.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Wow, I wish we could do both of them. That would have been awesome. Yeah, I guess probably.
But wait. I want to say that because I'm still kind of convinced Isaiah Thomas. I forgot.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. We were kind of working off that.
I do think Keith and Christian Wood would be lower, but yeah, we can save that for IT. So for Denver 5K, I'm inclined to just go with Chauncey Billups then. I think like Iverson is going to be popular, and I swear, man, I can't think of anybody else for Denver right now with 5K. Like Jokic isn't there yet.
Chauncey, you want to go Chauncey?
Yeah, I'm fine going Chauncey. He definitely has 5K.
There we go. 19%'s not bad. All right.
I was going to quit the podcast if Chauncey Billups said 5K assist. Like that would have just been like one of those where it's like, all right, I'm out. Like I'm washed. I don't know ball anymore. So you want to go IT? You played for the Lakers. You're 50-50.
I kind of want to do it.
Then do it. We already talked Keith and Wood. Oh, nice. Okay, great job. All right.
42 rarity score.
I was saying, I'm not going to lie. You better nail it after we did talk. Well, I was going to say after we talked Keith and Wood, but.
What do you think the percentage was? 0.1, dude.
Dude, real? Wow. Wow. Only because IT is like not a non-household name.
I'm looking it up. Isaiah.
I don't associate him with Denver at all. You're right.
Isaiah Thomas, position. Wrong one. See, the other problem is there's two. So.
They are spelled differently, at least.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what I did. IS. How does he spell it? IS.
Justin. He played one game for Dallas. One game in 2021, 2022. He had obviously was on a 10-day. That was actually he played for the Lakers in 17 and 18. He actually played for the Lakers again in 21, 22. He had a 4-game stint. And then because he called on with Charlotte at the end of that year. One game, 6 points. That is wow. That's got to be the craziest margin we've ever won by. All right. So do you want to go to the most common answers real quick before we recap ours?
Yeah, sorry. Here we go.
All right. So most common answers for
honestly pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, this is tougher. Lakers and Mavs have the most, followed by Mavs and Nuggets, and then a tie between Wolves, Nuggets, and Mavs Spurs. Mavs Spurs being 40 is actually surprising, just because they're division opponents. Like you would think there'd be less movement there, but who knows? I guess that makes sense. All right. Do you mind scrolling down just a little bit? Let's see the most popular answers were. All right. So for Wolves and Lakers, it was D'Angelo Russell. For Lakers and Mavericks, it was Steve Nash. For Lakers, 5,000 assists, Magic Johnson. Kyle Anderson, who you mentioned, good call for Spurs and Timberwolves. Most common answer, Michael Finley for Spurs and Mavericks. Tony Parker for Spurs, 5,000 career assists. Chauncey Billups for Timberwolves and Nuggets. I did forget Chauncey played in Minnesota. DeAndre Jordan, who we mentioned as well for Nuggets and Mavericks, and Allen Iverson for Nuggets, 5,000 career assists. To recap our grid one final time, for Lakers and Timberwolves, we got Wayne Ellington. For Lakers and Mavericks, not going to lie, did not expect this to be our lowest guess. Isaiah Thomas, 0.1%. Nick Van Exel for Lakers, 5,000 career assists. Anthony Tolliver for Spurs and Timberwolves. Boban Marjanovic for Spurs and Mavericks. Andre Miller for Spurs, 5,000 career assists. Mike Miller for Mavericks for Timberwolves and Nuggets, excuse me. Richard Jefferson for Nuggets and Mavericks, and Chauncey Billups for Nuggets and 5,000 career assists. Not bad at all. Not too bad at all. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. Leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, or read them on the podcast. If you're not an Apple user, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
And we are on YouTube. Find a video version. Obviously, you can watch the Immaculate Grid there. We post those up. So if you subscribe, you'll get notifications when episodes are going live so you don't miss the next one.